3-time MVP, 11-time All-Star, 9-time Silver Slugger, arguably the best player of our entire generation. Saying Mike Trout's career is over is controversial, and before I get death threats in the comment section, I want to say I understand exactly what Mike Trout has done in this career as a person and as a player, and I don't discredit any of it for a second. Ever since I've been a little kid, just like many of you guys, I've adored watching 27 for the Angels hit bombs, rob homers in the outfield, and show off that insane speed swiping bags. Mike Trout truly is a definition of a five-tool player. But between the worst season of his amazing career, injury problems getting worse, and being stuck on arguably the most embarrassing franchise in baseball with the Ohtani-less Angels, things aren't looking too bright in Cali for Mike Trout these days. To start, Mike Trout's extensive injury history is no joke. In July of 2023, Mike Trout would fracture a bone in his left wrist after being hit by a pitch from San Diego reliever Nick Martinez. Not only was Trout having the worst season of his career to this point, which we'll get into later, but this would land him on the IL for the rest of the season, continuing the previous trend before only playing half the games in 2023. He would miss a third of the season in 2022 with back issues, probably from carrying the shitty-ass Angels roster. And it just gets worse, as Mike Trout in 2021 only played 36 games. Yes, 36 games with a torn calf muscle, which was only strained when he tried to come back and take away almost his entire season. Mike Trout has not played over 150 games since 2016, and it's crazy to think how good he is, even with all this in play. If only he stayed healthy, I couldn't imagine what potential Mike Trout stats would look like today. Even in one of his MVP seasons in 2019, Mike Trout would have a foot surgery limiting to only 134 games, and he put up 45 homers this year. I mean, if he could have had 60 plus, in my opinion, if he played all the year easily. It just feels like you're playing Operation Board Game when it comes to Mike Trout's career, and he's trending towards his mid-30s soon. Predicting it's only going to get worse isn't too crazy to claim. Looking at the 82 games he played in the last year, Mike Trout was not Mike Trout. Listen, these are still good stats and are peak numbers for a lot of great hitters in this league, but if we're talking about Mike Trout, it was just not him. An 858 OPS and an OPS plus of 130 is a heavy fall off when you look at the rest of his career. It seems like any OPS under 1,000 in the past half decade is shocking for Mike Trout. Not only this, but his strikeout rate jumped up to almost 30%, which is just insane. Yeah, Mike Trout still maintained that great eye he's always had in his career, but his strikeout rate was a mile up from anywhere else in his career. Since 2014, and this is no joke, Mike Trout has not had an OPS under 990. And I think that's truly what makes him the GOAT, so when the number drops almost 150 points out of nowhere, it's definitely fair to be concerned. Trout, who has definitely lost a lot of speed the last couple of years and lost some defensive ability, his legendary bat is definitely his main attribute these days, and to see that fall off is a little disappointing. Not only has Trout struggled with injury luck as of late, but the Angels, ever since he has entered the league, have seemed to totally fail to build a winning roster around him. You look at superstars around the league and even in other sports who get amazing rosters around them and just simply fail to show up in the postseason, but in Trout's case, he can't even get to the postseason. I truly believe that there's little to no excuse in other players' case, as if they had an entire roster built around them and they were given the help to succeed with multiple postseason runs with their chance and their opportunity to help their team and to finally get their ring. But in Trout's case, he really has never had that, and he really never had the opportunity to play in a playoff series besides 1 year where they didn't even win a game. I mean, if you take an example like Fernando Tatis Jr., he came into the league with Manny Machado on his team, who recently got extended to a huge contract. They went out and traded for Juan Soto. They signed Xander Bogaerts to a massive contract. They built, a decent pitching roster. The Padres are a totally different scenario, as in they have a great roster and just for some reason can't put it together. But the Angels really have not given Mike Trout a chance. In Mike Trout's 13-year career, his Angels have failed to make the postseason all but once, and they didn't even win a game, getting swept by the Royals, who would go on to win the pennant. And after years and years of mid-seasons, disappointment, sounds like my Mets, failure to build any successful pitching, here we are in 2024 where the Angels just lost their best player of all time, best player in baseball of all time, to their rival, have done little to nothing to improve their team this offseason, and are still stuck with horrendous contracts like Anthony Rendon, who fell off even harder than Trout. It's not even close. In my opinion, Ohtani leaving was the cherry on top, the final deal. I don't know how you could still stay with them after that. If the Angels really wanted to compete, let's say they wanted to keep this roster, they could have extended Ohtani somehow, and they could have gone out and actually gotten some pitching. Or maybe they even wanted to actually go to a full rebuild, and they wanted to trade Ohtani at the deadline, like they should have, and gotten a ton of assets, and built the team around Trout and their young prospects. No, they didn't do either. Artie Moreno didn't do either. He is the worst owner in baseball, probably. It's not even close. And the Angels are stuck in the middle. They have really nothing to do, and they're trapped in an AL West. I mean, if you look at that division, they just have no chance. You have the defending World Series champ Texas Rangers. You have the Houston Astros, who are always in it. You have the Mariners. I mean, all these teams are miles and miles and miles ahead of the Angels. It's not even close. They're going to be down in the cellar with the Athletics, just embarrassing the league. And that's actually one of my hot takes for 2024. I truly think the Angels are going to be one of the worst teams in baseball. I think they're going to be down there with the Athletics in the AL West. Unless Mike Trout gets traded to a real team who will put him at the corner outfield or DH and have some actual competition around him, Mike Trout is going to rot away the rest of his career on the IL for the Rangers, who honestly need to rebuild now. For all my men out there, you need to find a woman who is as loyal to you as Mike Trout is to the Angels. I mean, it is just insane. I mean, after all these disastrous nightmares that have happened, Mike Trout still has the audacity to say in the offseason that he's going to come back to spring training as an Angel, ready to go, and try his best to play in the season. I mean, I just don't understand that mentality. This is all really sad to see for one of my favorite players growing up, and I hope miracles happen and Trout and the Angels can somehow turn this around. In Trout's case, I mean, he's turning 33 this season, but he still has so much skill with the bat. I think he can easily be up to a 900, even 1,000 OPS guy again in the right situation, DHing, taking some stress off him mentally with the fielding and the running. Not only is that going to help him mentally, but it's also going to help him stay on the field. In the Angels case, like I said, they just need to rebuild right now because there's really nothing. I don't think anyone can come down and save this roster. I mean, it's cooked. It's cooked. But that's all I have for today's video. It's definitely a hot take and controversial. Please don't go down and dox my address. But yeah, that's all for today's video, and the season's right around the corner, so I'm super excited to make in-season content for you guys on YouTube. So make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and put on notifications to stay tuned, and I'll see you guys all in the next one.